faithlessness. They find themselves crying out, Lord, I believe, but help thou mine unbelief. They want the bread of faith. And then that is a quest for the bread of hope. Everybody needs this bread. Everybody wants it. When you stop hoping, you die. And yet so many people have lost hope today. They feel that they have nothing to look forward to. So many young people have lost hope. They have become cynical. They see all of the problems of the world. So many young men feel that there's nothing to look forward to in life but going to the battlefield, giving one's life maybe in something very futile. They look around the world and they lose hope. So many people find themselves crying out for Shakespeare's Macbeth that life is a tale told by an idiot full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. So many find themselves crying out with the philosopher Schopenhauer.
I appreciate you joining us tonight. What we're talking about is critiquing a powerful message by Dr. King tonight. As we go into this message, I think you're going to love what you hear. But we're going to critique it and listen to everything. So come with me. Listen to this. Never laugh, but the moans come double, and that is life.
In the midst of this hopelessness, men and women reach out for the bread of hope. And then there is a quest for the bread of love. Everybody needs this bread.
Everybody needs this bread of love.
We need it in two ways. First, we need to learn how to love. The great problem of mankind today is still that there's too much hatred around. More than anything else, we've got to learn to love. In America, the white man must love the black man. The black man must love the white man. Because we are all tied together in a single garment of destiny. And we can't keep having riots every summer in our cities. We can't keep having all of these problems all over our nation. Our white brothers must understand that we're too poor. The federal government has enough money to get rid of slums and poverty and get rid of these conditions that make for riots. There's no point in continuing to make up excuses. Our white brothers have got to come to see one thing. We are in America and we are here to stay, and we've got to learn how to live together. We ain't going nowhere.
Too much sweat in the ground.
That's the basic need in this country. 22 million Negroes that we have counted up. The census figures give us that. Now, they don't take under consideration the number of Negroes that ran when they saw the census man coming, thinking it was somebody to collect the bill. So when you add the numbers they didn't get, it's at least 30 million Negroes in America. And we are here to stay. Our white brothers have got to learn to live with us. And in our response to the oppression and the hatred that we face, we must not, turn around and do the same thing.
Don't do it no hate.
You see, you never solve one problem of tyranny by substituting a new tyranny. A doctrine of black supremacy is as evil as a doctrine of white supremacy. God is not interested merely in
what do we tell our children? What do we tell the children?
And yellow men, but God is interested in the freedom of the whole human race.
The whole human race.
Creation of a society where all men will live together as brothers.
Listen here, Martin.
And every man will respect the dignity.
Respect the dignity.
And the worth of human personality.
And the worth of human personality.
One way that every man will be able to do this.
One way every man
is
can
to
do this.
remember that one word that Jesus talked about so often. That is the word love.
Come on, y'all.
So in the midnight hour, the life of our world and our nation, I see men and women by the thousands running toward the church of God, trying to get the bread of faith, the bread of hope, and the bread of love. There are seldom, if ever in the history of the world, has a socio-political document expressed in such profound, eloquent, and unequivocal language the dignity and the worth of human personality. For the American dream reminds us that every man is the heir of a legacy of dignity.
The heir of a legacy of dignity.
Yet ever since the founding fathers of our nation dreamed this dream, America has been, to use a big word that the psychologists and the psychiatrists use, a schizophrenic personality.
Let's talk. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just have to have our eyes open more. We appreciate Dr. King for his wisdom, his elegance, his style, his direction, and his vision. But now what we have the opportunity to do is to put into a little bit more. And now we're going to say it all over the country and all over the nation and put it up. Stop the hating, y'all. Stop the hating on us in the media. Deal with us fairly. Come to the table with no biases. Come to the table with a balance. We've got some intelligent and young men and women that can articulate the truth, the Constitution, the law, the Federalist Papers, and we believe in the power of unity and people coming together. We believe what Dr. King said. Ain't no sense of tearing it down if we can build it up. We're here. We've been here 400 years of crying. We've been crying out for 400 years. There's a cry in the wilderness for God's people, those Negro people. It's a cry in the wilderness. That's what we want to talk about. That's what this show is all about, the cry in the wilderness. As Dr. King so elegantly put it, we're going to pick it up and take it from there and have some dynamite conversations about some things here and here. We're going to talk about this book. And we're going to talk about this book, ladies and gentlemen, what may be a tale told by a fool full of sound and fury signifying nothing, but it's all of the other books that's not in this book. Okay, it's all of the other books that you want to talk about, from Enoch, all of the other books from the Dead Sea Scrolls to whatever books you want to go to where I have notes and I'm ready to dialogue and conversation. But before we get to this book, ladies and gentlemen, which has the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Apocryphers, all of them, the Apocryphers of Paul, the Apocrypha of Peter, all of those are here. The Gospel of Mary, all of those is here. But before we get to this, ladies and gentlemen, we got to be able to give homage and respect to this. Because most of y'all don't know nothing about the Old Testament. You know very little about the New Testament and don't understand how the Old Testament and New Testament is put together. And you don't understand why we call Hebrews. There's a book in the Bible, in the middle of the Bible, called the book of Hebrews, which is in the New Testament. That book itself puts the Old Testament and the New Testament together. Without that book, the key book, the book of Hebrews, you won't know why you're called a Hebrew and not a Negro. So in this conversation, in this dialogue with Dr. King, and in this speech, what we're talking about, one thing is, why are we called Negroes? Why is he insisting it? Why were they insisting that to us? And where does that come from? And does this book here talk about it? We find that very clearly. This is the book of the Bible. This is my tools. Let me define my tools for you, ladies and gentlemen, because I appreciate everything that's being said in here. And this is the Amplified Bible, which is also have the King James vibe in it, that's going to amplify the King James, and we'll talk about the King James and the Amplified later. I have no problem with, because my sword is sharp. Make sure your sword is sharp when you come to my table. When you come to the table, make sure your sword is sharp, because mine is mighty sharp. But before we can get to this one, I want you to get to these two here. Practical situations. Stop the hating on the black man. What every man needs to know when they stop by the police. I've got some solutions. I've got some solutions, namely Legal Shield. Every young man gets an app. That app gets him in contact with some of the best attorneys immediately. As soon as he punches that app, there's an emergency button. He pushes that emergency button. That app gets him in contact with our attorneys on any situation that he's dealing with. Get some counsel. Don't get in handcuffs. Get some counsel. Don't get in handcuffs. That's what I want you to say. Secondly, we got to talk about the media and how the media deals with the black man. This case is a case that they put in our face for 25 years. Why? Well, I talk about it in the book and I break it down. Dear O.J. Simpson, the butler did it. Let's hear some more from Dr. King.